Hey guys, the Sun here. Welcome back to Destiny. As usual, I always say this. It's been a while. Um, I haven't really been streaming much or making videos because of work and stuff, but I really am glad to be back as usual. I love making videos. I love making content, which brings me to the topic of today's video. As you can tell by the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about day one rating and how to be a day one raider because that's why you clicked on a video. So you want to be a day one raider. All right, let's talk about it. First thing I want to address is you're watching this for a couple of reasons. I feel like anyone watching is typically one of two people. I was going to get that flag, but that's fine. There's two kinds of people or more probably watching my video. Those who truly are not day one raiders, or people who are and just want to see what this warlock has to say for himself. Like, what has this guy got to say that 1,000,001 people didn't say already on how to get ready for a day one raid? And that's true. I'm primarily just going to be talking about just my feelings, just my mental state when I go in and how to prepare like weapons and stuff, but not too much because there's plenty of videos in terms of like weapons and meta and like strats and stuff like that. So I don't want to dive too much into that, but more so just the mental fortitude and just how to really prepare. And the first thing is how to prepare. Step one: your day is that raid. My theory is the raid will fall on March 3rd, I believe. No, March 10th. I believe March 10th is I believe it's the following Friday after the launch of March 10th. Yes, March 10th is the following Friday after the release of Lightfall. I'm banking that will be the day. It's the following Friday after the release of the expansion. For those of you who do know, the Lightfall raid launched on the following Friday. Deepstone Crypt, once again, launched on the following week, but it was a Saturday. This is when raids were Saturdays. That will not be the case anymore. Do not bank on the raid being a Saturday. I don't believe that's going to happen anymore. If King's Fall taught us anything, is that the game performs better when people are in the office. That is the truth. This is a live service game. People need to be there to make sure that it is working. So that is what it shall be. My advice to you, if you can, take that day off. Don't call into work. Don't call into school. Unless you're someone that could, ultimately live with that decision and you have the flexibility to do so. I love video games, but life comes first. Which is why I'm saying to be prepared. Make the time. You gotta make the time. That day is dedicated to the raid. No, nothing else matters. If you're truly someone who says, I want to be a day one raider, then that's all your priority is. From experience, let's take King's Fall for example. For King's Fall, I notify, a large number of my family and friends, and just be honest and straightforward. Just communication is important. That hey, I am not available to do anything this day, and it was fairly respectful. I did not get any means of communication from anyone. In fact, it was for friends and family that knew I streamed. It was more so, hey, when can I watch you do this gaming thing that you've been talking about for nonstop? Because I love raiding very much. Yeah, that's like very important. It's just pretty much setting the time off because it's gonna be on a Friday. It's gonna be on a Friday. The next thing I had to be a day one raider is watch people raid. Watch people do day ones. I know that may sound silly, but me personally, I up until a raid race starts, I'm watching past raid clears. I'm watching Salta Greppo. I'm watching all the players. I am watching Elysium, those guys. I'm watching pretty much anyone. I watch the Deep Stone first raid clears quite often. I will even watch old ones. I'll every once in a while pull up T-Rex doing Spire of Stars or even Eater of Worlds, just because I like to see how people talk, communicate. Just you have to learn. I like to think of them as teachers in a way. Now, to learn from someone, you don't necessarily have to like them. You just have to learn from them. And that's how I view Day 1 raid clears is I am here to solely just learn. I love this shotgun, by the way. This will also be on my person when the raid starts. I like watching other people play this game. It's to me, it's how you get better. I personally learn by watching. You also learn by doing. But watching someone do a Day 1 clear, though, you really see how it goes, how they communicate, what weapons they use. And you already have a pocket in your mind on what to be expected of you. Now, for those curious, my first Day 1 clear was for King's Fall. That was my first Day 1 clear. For King's Fall, it took me 16 hours, and it was the best gaming experience of my life. I've been playing this game since launch. I was never the best person. I was not the best person when this game came out. I was kicked from LFG groups for not having Gallahorn. I was kicked for not having optimal damage. I was kicked just for not being good. I 100% know what that feels like, for sure. I simply am making this video because I just want to use what I taught to help others, because I've been there. And it's something, a Day 1 raid is something to be very proud of. I think that, now, will everyone get a Day 1? Absolutely not. Are there people out there who are gods at this game who probably still won't get Day 1s? Probably. I've done Day 1, I think my first Day 1 was, well, a lot of them, but the first Day 1 where I actually sat my butt down to really give it 100% was actually Wrath of the Machine. We did not get Day 1, unfortunately, but we got the week 1. But that was like when I really was like, you know, planning out to do a Day 1 raid was for Wrath of the Machine for Rise of Iron. And then a situation that the worst Day 1 raiding experience I've ever had will have to be Crown of Sorrow. I was not ready for what that was going to be. I spent hours following graphic charts on how to optimize my Warlock to get leveled up as soon as possible. But I look back at that and I blame more of myself, because there are weapons that I did not have ready for that day. I didn't have Mountaintop. I only have Recluse, and that was about it. I didn't have Outbreak perfected, which was, as you can see, key to a number of teams winning that day. That's why I have it on now, because, you know, it's kind of poetic in a way that I now have it, and it's one of my favorite, it's if not my favorite, second favorite exotic in the game. First being Izanagi's Burden. This gun shreds. Next thing, how to get ready. How to get ready. I feel like this conversation can go one of two ways, and it's funny because I'm reading off a script, but at the same time, this is also kind of like me just talking to you guys, but a little mix of both. Me personally, I get ready for Day 1 raids via flawless raids. I think flawless raids are great. They are difficult, but if you play with like-minded individuals, they are fine. From experience, all of my flawless raids were done via LFG. I did not go into some super elite Discord asking for the best of the best. I simply just said, hey, who wants to do a Day 1 raid? I'm sorry, not a Day 1 raid, a flawless raid. And, you know, the first, you'll wipe a bunch of times, but if anything, though, what I do like about flawless raids in LFG is it'll naturally wean out people who just aren't built for those kind of activities. And eventually you will get that dream team, which will lead me to how to meet other people. Friend those people. Add them. You may not see them ever again, but hey, you can at least say, you know, you never know, because that person you did that flawless raid with may hit you up and say, hey, I want to do a Day 1 raid. We did the flawless raid together. You know how to play your life. let's do the thing. Next thing, some of you might not like this. Lowmans are also very, very good. They are more challenging than Flawless Rage because you're essentially halving your people power by 50% to complete a raid objective. But what they teach you is it shows players on your raid report, if you're into that, we'll discuss that later, is that it shows people that you are truly the master of raiding because you said, hey, I can do a raid with 3 of us. Duos, solos, I mean, if you're doing solo and duos, chances are you are so elite that I will be surprised you've been watching this. But like I said, 2 kinds of people who want to learn, and then people just want to hear what I have to say to see if I'm even if I know what I'm talking about. Flawless and Lowmans are really good. I have a couple. My first Lowman was actually for Crown of Sorrow. That was the raid that I would say changed me for the better. Despite having a really bad day 1 experience, Crown of Sorrow was probably was a big deal for me. It put me on the path to be the player that I am. It was the first raid that I flawlessed. It was the first raid that I low-manned, and then the rest is history, and here I am, trying to help you all. To be fluent is, like, also important. Like, you gotta, it also says, like, hey, you can just kind of just learn on the fly and just be the best that you possibly could be. And it just says you know Destiny. It says you understand it, and that's a big deal. Huge deal. You wanna learn the game to be the best at it. And I know that sounds vague, but knowing how the game works will also be the next step to being a day 1 raider, because it says, like, hey, you're picked to understand things and kind of just go with the flow, and you can be put in any position, anywhere, anytime. Super, super importante. And it's nice because, like I said before, I wasn't always the best player, but I do know that I have a lot to say, and I've learned a lot, and I just want to, help others be the same as well. Next thing. I didn't want to go over this, but I will do it just because I did outline it in my terrible script that I have in front of me. Weapons. I'm not going to go too much, but I will say just follow the meta. I didn't want to make a super long video like outlining, like, Wither Horde, and of course, linear, they go together and stuff like that. Typically follow the meta. Typically there's always a video, or you always play with someone who tends to wear certain things, and you'll kind of notice a trend, and that is how you know, like, what the best stuff is. Me personally, I was the div runner for my King's Fall clear, but when I wasn't divving, because for Golgoroth we decided no div, we just went straight into damage. So when I wasn't divving, my loadout, my go-to was my Izanagi's, and my go-to was my Izanagi's. This wasn't around yet. I believe it was Summoner and a rocket. It wasn't this specific rocket, but this is, me personally, this is my favorite loadout as of right now. Like, overall, I love Izanagi's. Any excuse to use Izanagi's is like a blessing for me. A rocket and Izanagi's with Wendigo coming out, I'm also going to be, that's also, I think, going to be huge for the next raid. Wendigo and Izanagi's was always like a really good combination. Adept variant or not, get your hands on it, because I know I am. I'm still trying to farm for it. But yeah, like Wither Horde and a linear, no matter what happens, even if they nerf the damage to linears, they still really go together. Wither Horde, and I think it's just, if they nerf the damage to linears, the damage over time for Wither Horde will still kind of compensate for it. So I'm not even gonna rule that out as an option. And of course, hopefully snipers, fingers crossed, if snipers somehow get a buff. I got a lot of snipers I'm excited for. Of course, Whisper will never be good again. Mark my... Who knows? Let me not say that. Because if Whisper ends up being good again, I would be on the front lines. Front lines for sure. A little trick that I will say now is I'm trying something very new for me is I'm going to, for the next raid, I told myself I don't have a primary on me with Vorpal, but I told myself for encounters like totems or security room for Deepstone Crypt, I told myself I will primarily focus on primaries with Incandescent, Rampage, Kill Clip, because those encounters are killing mobs of ads while also figuring out the mechanic. And then for bosses, I will switch to primaries with Vorpal, being that 1-2% of damage can make a difference in the long run. So I will say that. Then again, I'm also obsessed with my summoner, so who knows? This may be stuck with me forever. This is my favorite primary in the game right now. I've also been low-key cheating on it with Dark Decider, which I kind of wanted to do a weapon review on. I may do a YouTube short, just nothing too crazy. I like it. PvP wise, it's not that good, but I mean, I love auto rifle, so I will find any excuse to use an auto rifle. And then lastly, be prepared to just struggle. It is hard, and I want to say have fun, but I know that some people may take that with a grain of salt because I'm not there to have fun. I'm there for the clear. And there was I forgot who said it. I believe I watched it in an Evan video when he was interviewing one of the Elysium guys, and he said something that really stuck with me. He said, "Do you want the clear, or do you want to have fun?" And that is how you based off of that, it will determine who you play with. Me personally, my team was comprised of guys who I met when I was just looking for a team. All I did was go on Reddit. I said, hey, these are my stats. This is my experience. I'm looking for guys on my level because I know that's what I need to get the job done. We had fun, but we knew that we were there to get a job done. Now, there are some people out there who probably could do a day one raid with their friends. And for that, I commend you. Me personally, I probably can't just because we're there to get something done. And then I don't want there to be any hostility amongst me and friends if something were to go wrong. That is just me personally. I had something in my throat while I was shooting this walker. Man, this auto rifle is good. I love this game, y'all. I love this game. I want everyone to eventually do day ones. Even if you don't beat them, do them. Do them. They're fun. They're truly the best end game content personally for me. I knew I probably said a lot of word vomit. My thoughts are all over the place, but at the same time, I really wanted to just kind of get this out because I really wanted to make a video on top of two. I really wanted to just kind of go and talk about hey, if you want to be a day one raider, you gotta have the time. You gotta put the time aside. You gotta have the skill. You can't get by just doing the bare minimum either. You gotta get out of your comfort zone. Hence why I said flawless raids, low man raids. Solo flawless dungeons are good too because they also teach you. They also say to people you can figure out mechanics on your own and just play your life. I think they are huge. At the time of me making this, I've solo flawless all the dungeons. As I'm looking at them, I've seen the solo flawless them faster and faster. It feels like. I believe for the Spire of the Watcher, I got it done on my second try. Grasp of Avarice, I got it done going into the weekend right before reset. That's just because I've just put the time and energy to get better. And once again, before I would do my solo flawless clear, I would watch someone else do theirs. That goes back to what I said before, is that learning. Izanagi's, please, you're just so good. Easy melt. Easy melt. I love Izanagi's. I love it so much. If you enjoyed this video, a like or comment is always appreciated. Like I said, I kind of just did this just because I actually just wanted to just talk to you guys and just really just go into detail about person. Hey, how do you become a day one raider? What's mindset or what do you really got to do? So it was more so just to kind of talk to you guys. Leave a comment if you've done a day one raid. Please tell me about it. Like, what was your first day one? Like, what experience made you kind of just say, you know what, never again. I am going to get a day one, despite all the bad experiences I had. Like, what pushed you to finally say, I'm gonna get this done? And I want to hear all about that stuff. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.